Your life is about learning for the rest of your life. We also need more people that maybe have values and ethics, and younger people to get involved in politics, so that they maybe do start to take us in the right
bring
way.
Innovation.
You know?
Thank you very much, team, for giving us your time. It's a true pleasure to be here in your office.
Yeah.
It has a beautiful vibe. I'm gonna present you very quickly. So Tim is an entrepreneur, an investor, and now running for candidate for president of Portugal for the next election. So I believe he's a true adventurer of life, the people of this podcast. So thank you very much, Tim.
Excellent. Thank you to have me on the adventure of life. It is an adventure, so good.
So it's a beautiful place here. It has a true vibe. I love the decoration, the setup, and you just told me before also your dad is here. Is it your headquarters, your office? Can you tell a bit what it represents for you, this space?
So I think this is a little bit about my life. You know, I think a lot of my adventures of life are in this place. You know, from early on, it's got my tennis rackets and cricket bats, and it's got my first cars, the Escort over there, a car I used when I was in high school, the Beetle. It's got, you know, all my passions, the rugby, the boxing, and then part of everything that I've really cherished, I think there's little bits here, photographs and people that have visited and all that. So it's a place that I get to work but enjoy at the same time, and actually let a lot of people enjoy. You know, so that's what I'm really privileged with. Is that a lot of people come here, they enjoy it, they love it. It's got the arcades that I grew up with, my favorite games, my favorite posters. You know, it's got my Testarossa that was on my wall. And then my team works here, and yes, it's great to have them working in a place that's also, you know, aesthetically pretty, because I think it's artwork, all these kind of things. And at the same time, it allows them not to take things too serious. You know, we have a bar that's bigger than our boardroom. You know, it's like things like that. You know.
Yeah, I really love that. I can see that the atmosphere is very good. I love that the fact that you mix all your passion and have also your team to work here, as you said, to see a bit life as an adventure.
Correct.
So I presented you quickly, but can you tell a bit more for people who might not know you? Because my community actually is mostly French, but I think it's good that you can present a bit about yourself, of your background.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, I was, my parents, my father was born in Portugal, my mother was born in Mozambique. I was born in South Africa, my kids were born in Angola, and then my last kid born in Portugal, so it really is a little bit of everywhere. I'm an optimist, but at the same time a realist, but really someone who prefers to see the good things instead of just the bad things, you know. And I'm a realist because I know there's no utopias. You know, I don't expect things to be perfect anymore. I actually get excited when things aren't perfect. I see that there's more opportunities, it's going to be more exciting, etc. A lot of people say, you know, I'm a successful entrepreneur. I've had many more failures than successes, I can promise you that. So in my life, if you had to, you know, have a scorecard on failures and successes, the scorecard would be failures. I'd be losing, okay? But I think at the same time, the experiences on the failures have prepared me for the successes. And, you know, thank God successes have actually been good ones. And, you know, it's kept me on the positive side, let's say. I'm someone who really loves my family, loves working with great people. I'm very, very blessed to be working in an industry that I love, this education sphere of it. I do want to make a difference. I prefer not to complain and rather to try and help become a solution to the problem. And this is the reason I'm a candidate for the Portuguese Presidency, because I believe Portugal can do so much more and can actually go out into this world and really make a bigger impact than we're currently doing. I think we've got all the talent. I think we've got everything, amazing lifestyle. We've got so many positives, but you know, we keep looking back and keep focused on the problematic issues. So I think, you know, that's what I would like to bring to this country. My heart is very big. I love South Africa. I love Angola. I love Mozambique. I love Portugal. So I'm lucky to have a big heart. I'm a big rugby fan. At the moment, very happy that South Africa are world champions. I'm sorry for France, but it was an amazing game, the best game ever. And if France had won, I would have been happy. Dupont was amazing. He's incredible, incredible. So I do think France is the best team in the world. But like I said, with the scores, unfortunately, the scores, even on failure, sometimes you are up and you win. So it's what happened.
So for next time, maybe.
Next time. And then I do believe that life is an adventure and we've got to grab it with both hands and do everything we can, because we will be dead for a long time. So you might as well enjoy your time being alive.
Yeah. You did a perfect resume of exactly what I try to share in this podcast, like the time and the adventure. Yeah. And actually your optimism and your positivity, let's say, where do you think it comes from? Is it from your education, from maybe, I don't know, South Africa? Or maybe
I think, when you come from Africa, you either got to choose if you're going to be a victim or if you're not going to be a victim. And I think I chose very early on that there's no use being a victim. Being a victim, you have to wait for others to impact your life. And if you choose not to be a victim, you impact your life yourself. So I decided early on that I would try, I would do my best to impact my life and become, obviously financially independent. So at least I could have a life that I'm choosing. I think, I love to live by example. So even if I'm having a bad day, I try not to show I'm having a bad day, because I need my staff to see that, you can have a bad day, but not two, So I work on that. And I'm also, I love bringing an example to my kids. So I try to show them, that life is a lot better if you stay positive, if you help others, things come back, and if you open doors, more doors open up for you. So I've never really been trying to get ahead of others. I've just been trying to go forward myself, and many times, I go forward, others go forward, and it's a good feeling. Yeah.
Okay, but you mentioned a bit earlier that it's interesting. You said you have many failures. Can you expand a bit on it? One or two failures, big failures you had, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah. Look, I think one of my biggest failures was very early on. I had a huge success with a business, that I started making beer, and it was growing. And when I got married, I was super well off in life. And then about a year later, I got crushed by a big brewery, and I could no longer sell my beer. And it went from being this amazing business to zero. And really because of my ego, because I really thought I would not be crushed. And I really thought that one day I'll buy the big brewery, and it didn't happen. And I think that, that was a great lesson to learn early on, because I didn't ever want that feeling again. And it taught me about being humble, and it taught me about working with others. I think, I've never really owned a business just myself. I've always done things in partnerships. I've always done things with synergies. I've always brought in a lot of stakeholders. So, I bring in community, I bring in our staff, I bring in, our clients, our suppliers, to try and be part of the success of something. Okay. So I'm quite old school on things like that, and I think that's what it taught me on that failure, Then obviously there's been other failures, every time you sort of, a business doesn't work, or a partnership doesn't work, or you need to fire someone. It's, I see it as a failure, because, I didn't get the best out of them, because they must have some talent, but it didn't work. But at the same time, it's a tough decision, because you also don't want to keep going on, because it's not fair for them, it's not fair for you. So, I've had to learn that sometimes it's not about being persistent, because persistence is one thing, but being like stubborn is also something. And if you sometimes stick to something for too long, and it's not working, no one wants it, it's being stubborn, not persistent. So I've had to learn those things, and those things have come with, many businesses. I reckon probably in the beginning, 1 in 10 would work. I'm probably at a better average now. I would say maybe 1 in 4, 1 in 3 would work. But I've also learned how to bring focus into the business. I've also learned how to concentrate on opportunities where I've actually got talent, or I've got skills, or I've got network to make it work. So yeah, it's I think the failures are, it's difficult to call them failures, because they are learning experiences. you know, and you do learn a lot more from failures than you learn from success. Like success, it goes well, you think you're the best in the world, you learn very little, you know. When it doesn't go well, you think about it. It keeps you up at night. You get stressed from it, and you really think about it. And it's almost a habit then to get out of it again and trust again and go through it again. You know, because sometimes things don't work because of other people. Sometimes you might even have an idea that's too early. It's ahead of its time. You know, and it's just not fair because someone will do it a year later and it'll work. So yeah, I've learned not to regret. You know, there's not one failure that I can say in my life that I would say, oh, I wish that hadn't happened, because I've learned from it, and I think I've become stronger and better. You know, because it really is, and nowadays you can actually learn things every day. You know, Yesterday I had a meeting where I said, listen guys, I'm coming to this meeting, but I'm just going to listen. I don't want to say anything, and you know, because I really wanted to learn from them. They had experience. And that's good, because many times, you know, you think that you're stupid if you don't just listen. Yeah. You think you need to be giving points. And I think too many people give too many points, and too many people are too experts in everything. So, yeah, I've learned that, but it comes with age. It comes with gray hair.
It's maturity. Okay, but yeah. to learn it and to implement what you learn, how do you take note and try quickly to do some introspection, to analyze it and to improve yourself? Or
yeah, it's definitely. I try to bring, every time I learn something about myself or I learn something about something that I've done, I try to bring it into becoming a habit. Okay, so almost like, you know, when I used to be like everybody else, and I'm not being arrogant saying that I'm not like everybody else now, but I'm going to say, I used to be like everybody else, and when something went wrong, I would stay thinking about it. It used to hurt. It used to really get me disappointed. It used to bring me down. Now I've got a habit that if something doesn't go well, I quickly put it behind. Okay. I start looking forward. I start looking at the next opportunity. I start getting involved in something else that needs my energy. And it's a habit to get ahead and to move forward. I really, you know, this habit of not becoming a victim, not saying, oh, it always happens to me. And no, it's not. It happens to everyone, you know. If you go out in the rain, you're going to get wet. Everyone gets wet. The rain doesn't miss anyone. And you've just got to, you know, choose to be like that, you know. But it's difficult because we've also become softer. You know, we believe that we deserve everything. Everything needs to go well. Everything, nothing can go wrong. You know, it's not true. You know, if that happened, we'd never build character. We'd never build perseverance. We'd never build who we are, and we would also never know who we are. And we would actually all be very boring. We'd all be very, you know, one-sided. And I think that life, all these difficulties and that make us more interesting. That's when I think the best paintings are made, when the best stories are written. When after a long time, if you've failed and you've tried, you know, lots of the best businesses are started with people in the average age of 45 and plus. You know, so it is what it is. And I think that we read one story and we think everybody has got a startup and does an exit by the age of 20. It's not true, you know. It's very rare. And I think we need to start becoming more open-minded and understanding that sometimes getting out the comfort zone is going to hurt, but then we've got to choose that, okay, it can't hurt forever. It can hurt for a little while and then move on, you know? Yeah,
it's very, very interesting. Also the way of making it a habit quickly. And obviously we will talk after about learning in your academy. But I think many people watch videos on YouTube or do some training, coaching, but they don't execute and make it a habit quickly after it. So very interesting too.
No, I think you are your biggest coach. You know your weaknesses. There are things you know about you you'll never tell anyone. So you know them. I think you need to motivate yourself. I think, you know, I normally say you need 3 things. You need to be physically fit, you know, do some walks. You don't have to be a triathlon, but you need to be in decent shape. I'm a bit out of shape now, but I'm getting there. And then you need to be emotionally strong, in that you know how to get emotionally strong, because you know who are those people that are good for you. How do you stick around with those people? How do you spend more time with those people who love you? How do you spend more time with those people that support you and give, so that you can grow? They say you the average of the 5 people you spend time with. So spend time with great people. You also know that in emotions, if you spend time with bad people or with zombies or vampires, it's going to be bad for you. So stay away from them. And you know that, you also know that sometimes you have to make certain decisions to move on in life, and they are difficult. They're not easy, but only you can do them. Everyone can tell you, but only you can do them. And then obviously it's the mental side. And the mental side, how do you get stronger? Well, by getting more skills, watching more YouTube videos, doing some extra courses, reading. All those kind of things make you mentally stronger because you're more prepared. And when you're more prepared, your mental is stronger, you've got good people around you, your emotions are stronger, and then if physically you're okay, you're in a good space to do good things, and I think a lot of us forget that, and we're wanting others to do it for us, but only you can do it.
Yeah.
You've got to lead yourself.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
That's also what I try to share in my book and so. You said you wanted, when you were very young, to be financially free. What step did you do for that, or what did you do to become financially free when you were already younger?
I've never chased money, but I wanted to. My family didn't have a lot of money. I grew up in a limited household money-wise.
Okay.
It had a lot of time and love for me, but it didn't have a lot of money. And I think that was actually good because it made me go after getting some financial freedom, which is money, but it never lacked having love and time for me, so that was good. I think when I started wanting financial freedom, what I wanted was a new tennis racket when I was playing tennis. So I came up with an idea of how to make money to get that. And then it was to, start scuba diving. How would I make money to get scuba diving? But I'd sort of make projects to get something done.
Like a goal, to have a goal. A clear goal,
like goals. And then I started to understand, well, if I don't need to ask people for money, and if I've got money, I can travel. If I've got money, I can buy a Land Rover and drive and go into amazing places. And that's what started to happen. I started seeing money as it allowed me to have experiences. Okay,
yeah.
It didn't actually drive me to have less experiences because you can easily go that way. You can become so obsessed that you chase money that you actually do nothing else. And even if you're doing something else, you feel like you're missing out because you're not making money. I've actually never had that. I've always just wanted to be comfortable. And if I'm comfortable, I can do a lot of other stuff. I also went through different phases in life. I went through a phase in life where I just needed to cover my needs, and I got that done. And then, you go through a next phase, which is your greed. And, maybe that's a little bit this, where you think you need a car and you need another car.
Your
and you need
ego
another car.
Is a bit,
you start to become like, you think that it will make you happier. And, and you also look at it and you say, listen, it will impress other people. And it will make other people look and say, wow, look how successful he is,
Yeah.
But I got over that. I haven't bought cars. I haven't bought cars for probably 12 years now. So I got over the greed, and it was good getting over greed because you need it to push yourself. But getting over the greed, I think you get into the freed. And that's when you actually then don't worry about things like this, and you start to finally understand that less is more, and just being able to go away, have good people that can run your business. I've just been traveling for 2 weeks. Everything keeps going, and before that I came in and I was here for 3 weeks, and before that I was away for 3 weeks. So you feel good because you're also growing other people, and they understand that you're giving them the responsibility, but at the same time that's giving you the freed. And then also you're not doing things for others, you're doing them for you. You're doing them for you and for those people you love. So I'm also very lucky that I get to travel with my family. I get to do everything with my family. And, I don't want to have any regrets in life. So I think, I once heard that you're never going to die. And when you're on your deathbed, you're going to say, I wish I'd worked more or I'd made more money. It's really, I wish I'd loved more. I wish I'd forgiven more. I wish I'd traveled more. I'd been with my family more. So that's where I am now. But I'm super happy because I'm at a good age to get that. Because sometimes you might never get that, or you'll get it very late. And the click went out early.
Yeah, at least you still have a lot of energy to Yeah, I couldn't be more agree. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Every word what you're sharing. I love the fact that you travel a lot and you seem very close with your family, your kids also. I meet many people. They say when you have kids, you cannot do anything. You cannot travel more. You can. It's difficult. How did you manage? Because you travel, I think, for a long period of time with your family. How did you?
I think you miss out on so much if you think you can't do that, because it's a lie, I look at my kids, I think they're my best friends, so why not travel with your best friends? Why not become closer to them? Why not leave these experiences in them? This is, for me, I'm not just traveling and I'm giving them education. Like I'm taking the, charge of their education and giving it to them. When we went on the Trans-Siberia through Russia, Mongolia, China, and then we did, Vietnam and Malaysia and Thailand and then Japan, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and got back here, that's education. They saw people, they stayed in people's houses, they traveled on trains and camels and horses and boats and planes and cars and buses. Amazing. That's education. And when I look at my kids and I see how open-minded they are and how they're not fearful of the world, but they understand that, people are different, but in the end, many people want the best for their kids, so they're in the same boat as everyone else. I think, that's a privilege that I give. And I think it is a bug. I think once you do it once, you start planning your next one and you start planning your next one, we've already planned now for next September. Oh. We're doing the boats in France. We're doing 2 weeks on those bottes, where you go on those baths, like those along a river, and it goes at 6 kilometers an hour, and you relax.
Like the Péniche?
You go along the river and you visit. So I'm taking my parents, I'm taking my in-laws, and I'm taking my kids, and that's an amazing experience because I picture us buying baguettes and bottles of wine and talking and fishing slowly, and it's again experiences. You can't learn this, and I think it's very, very important that if you're a parent, you don't see your kid as a handicap. It's not a handicap because you're going to do these things and they're going to learn, but they also teach you so much. They ask you so important questions. I remember one of the questions my son Titus asked us when we were having a barbecue in New Zealand in the middle of nowhere. He told me, "Dad, I've got a friend who's so rich. He's got like a helicopter, he comes to school on a helicopter, and it's really amazing. He's super rich." And I said, "Listen, I'm richer than him." And my son was like, "What do you mean, Dad? You're not richer than him. He's like really rich." So I said, "No, I'm richer than him. Look at us. We've taken 4 months already going around the world, and I didn't have to work. Your friend, Dad, can't even give him 10 days, and he's got to work. That means he needs money more than us. So we're richer." You know what I'm saying?
I love
and
that.
I think that's what you learn from your kids as well, because you see what they see, and they can easily go the wrong way. Before we had our grandparents, and we had all this wealth of people around us. Nowadays, we don't, and we sort of leave our kids with social media and say, "Good luck." Social media is not helping us. Yeah. How's it going to help our kids? So we do need to become their friends. We do need to become, very involved in their lives, because even if you think you're making a mistake, it's not a mistake. You'll learn from it. They'll learn from it. And as I said, my parents, they didn't have the financial, stability, but they had time and love, and when I got that, I learned so much from them. I learned so much. It gave me values. It gave me ethics. I think it was the best education I got for my life. And I think our responsibility as parents is, many times, to give more to our kids than we got, and by that maybe the world gets a little bit better. Because I believe my kids are better than me. That's your aim in life. And and it's not that difficult. It really isn't. But they don't demand much.
But a question maybe people would ask is because obviously you earn some money. Do you think people who have less money or can still travel with their kid and family, or it could be more?
For sure. I think it's not how much money you make; it's how much money you spend. Because the problem nowadays is that a lot of people spend too much money on things they don't really need. If you look at our houses, You buy houses with 3 rooms. You have 4 or 5 TVs inside. You've got a car, then a second car, and then you buy a car every 4 or 5 years, or some people every year. So you've got to have some kind of discipline and say, listen, the most important thing is me doing this, and then it starts to happen. You know? And then it because the best experience wasn't in a 5-star hotel. 5-star hotel once in when you're traveling one night is enough to feel it and appreciate it. But the best experiences are doing things the real way. You know what I'm saying? So and nowadays, yes, you can plan. You can work remotely. There's so many ways of doing things. And if you don't have a job that you can't work remotely, well, then, take sabbaticals, like start working and seeing how you're going to do it, or upskill yourself to have an extra talent that you can, get something more for it. But I think definitely there are ways to do it, and you don't have to travel around the world. You've got amazing countries. You've got, just in your own country, if you go into the countryside and, we're in Portugal, and if you hit the Alentejo or the interior, it's got incredible stuff out here, incredible stuff. So it's not about doing that. It's expensive. The Trans-Siberia sounds very expensive. It's not. Well, now you can't do this, but now it's going through a tough time with Russia and all this. But the Trans-Siberias and things like that was peanuts to do it, but they were lifetime memories. They were valuable memories.
Time is the most important, and love, and as you said. Okay, very interesting. Completely agree with it. And so after I can see in your eyes that you love what you're saying and so on. So that's why maybe you created and motivated you to create a Brave Generation Academy. Yeah. But maybe before telling what is it exactly, can you tell a bit? What did you came back from South Africa in Portugal? Sold your first company, and can you expand a bit on the journey between?
Yeah, so I came to Portugal from Angola. I've still got a business in Angola. It's still a business that's very influential, let's say, in Angola. It does printing and media buying, and it does billboards and research, etc. But it really is a business now that it runs to support our staff. It's really a business that I'm happy that it makes money, pays the salaries. It doesn't go into debt. It's a business that it's actually difficult for me ever to sell it, because I'm worried what would happen to staff that's been with me for 20 years now. So I'm content with it, and I've got an amazing team that runs it, etc. Coming to Portugal, I started investing in startups and try to get things like that going. Again, it's tough. It's a very tough market. Startups, they don't all make it. And when I started, it was 2008 and 9 and 10. It was tough periods of time. But I got into farming, and the farmings are still going. We still do raspberry farming down in the Alentejo, in Zambujeira. We did some exits with some energy companies. And then obviously, we were also lucky enough to get involved in hotels. So I've got some hotel interests and building, immobiliario, property development.
Property, okay.
But, those things were fine, but they weren't what was going to make me happy. And slowly I actually started to get out of everything and just spend more time on doing things I enjoyed. And the one thing I really, really enjoyed was the education side, like you mentioned, And starting Brave Generation Academy again came from a need for my own kids. We got back from traveling the world, and by going back into a traditional school, I just felt like it wasn't fair, putting them back from 8 till 4:30. They stuck in that whole system where everyone's the same, uniform, bells, holidays at this period, etc., etc.
Like a zombie, a bit.
Like a zombie, and it's not the real world anymore. The real world now, learners and young people are so amazing. They're so amazing. Yet we're trying to put them in these boxes and trying to make them all the same. And they're not. They're watching different YouTube videos. They've got different interests. Jobs are changing every day. Like there's a new job, there's this. And jobs are dying that are the ones that we are training them for, So I looked at it and I thought, okay, I'm going to take my 2 boys out of school. I left my daughter there because, you never want to make a mistake with your daughter. But the boys, I took a risk. I took the boys out, put the boys there and told them, listen, you're not going back to school, but you can play rugby, do Muay Thai, do golf, surf, play music, build your rockets, and then we'll put school into around you. You know? And that's really how Brave Generation started. It started with them, and then more kids came. I wasn't sure what we were going to do, but slowly I understood that we could have this system that would be very personalized, it would be flexible, and it would be relevant for today. And we did that by using a mix of online and offline. So we built a platform that would give you the British International Curriculum at your pace, at your speed, mixed kids in different ages in the same place, write exams 3 times a year instead of once. So if it do fail, just do it again and learn from it. No more holidays, be at school all year and go to school holidays whenever you want to go on holidays. A start time of 8 in the morning and it finishes at 6, but you have to do 5 hours. So if you want to surf in the morning and come to school after surfing, do that. If you want to do school in the morning and then go out and play golf, do that. So I also looked at it and said, we don't need to build pools and tennis courts and all that because our communities have got all this. And yet we like try to build it again and then keep it closed and they keep it closed. No, so we started to plug into the community. We started getting learners to work in the community, to work at vets, at architect offices, at lawyer offices, etc., to start experiencing the real world out there. And then we started to give learners accountability. We explained to them, okay, if you work at this pace, you'll finish here. If you work faster, you finish here. If you work slower, you finish over here. And the learners started to understand, okay, well, then it's in my power to do what I want. If I get more confident, I'll go quicker, etc. We also opened the curriculum. So we brought in the British International, and then we brought in the US core curriculum, and then we brought in an UP program, which is the Unique Pathways, which is actually allowing learners to start university at 16. So if you know you want to do business, psychology, education, sports management, computer science, you can actually start at 16. You do 16, 17, 18 with us, and then you just go to university for 3 to 12 months and you got your degree. Okay. So it changes it again. And now this year we're hoping to launch our French curriculum.
Oh, okay.
So our French curriculum, our learners will be able to be in a hub, which we call with our learning coaches. But you know, you could be doing the French, I could be doing the English, and the next one could be doing the American. We're together, you do it at your pace, but we do things together, we have lunch together, etc., etc. And I think that's the world now, you know. Also, you can move hubs. So we have 61 hubs at the moment around the world in 9 countries. And you can go from one hub to another hub. So you can be traveling, you can work part-time once you start doing your app, and you can be studying. So it gives you all those ticks, which is, you know, travel, part-time work, experiences, and yet you do your academics, so your parents are happy, you know. So this is the difference, and we've seen amazing how kids have flourished in this, how it's just started to work, and really because I think, you know, we've started to put trust in them, and we've started to put the learner first. You know, it's always about the learner. It's not about the parent. It's not about BGA. It's not about the learning coaches. It's the learner first, and I think that again has been very, very, very successful. Yeah.
But actually, that something I like about this is that most of people I met in this podcast, successful entrepreneur, they have something in common, is that they remain a child. They even if they are 50, 60 years old, they still have a mindset of a child, like an inner child. Yeah. So I believe that's the kind of the message you want to give to this academy. But one question I have is, the more freedom you give them, this involve responsibility or discipline? Do they manage still to discipline by themselves? Or?
Yeah, they learn. You know, they've been in a world that has not been about trusting them or giving them discipline. It's been about a world that we tell you what homework to do. We tell you the bell rings, stop working now, go to the next class. We keep telling them what to wear, the uniform, this or that, and you know, and in our system we don't have that. So we start to tell learners, listen, it's really your call. You know, we're there to support you, we're there to guide you, we're there to assist you, but you do need to start doing things for yourself. And I think that psychologically is empowering. It's like a you know, a steroid of power for a learner. And I think that also allows learners to say, okay, well, now I understand I've got to do those things, but also we try and help you to find some kind of purpose. okay, something that you really enjoy doing. Because I think when we're young, there was a study done by NASA, and they looked at kids that were 5 years old, and it was like 90% of kids were classified as geniuses because they were so inquisitive and curious, and they wanted to know things, that they would do things in many different ways and quickly to try and see what would work. And they would be classified as geniuses because they had so many ways of thinking. And then, they did the same study at 12, and it would go down to like 30%. And then they did it at 30, and it was like 1%. Because we've been taking away that. We've been telling you what to think and how to answer. And don't worry about thinking differently, because this is how it is. So, in our system, we want to support you, but we don't want to take away the way you do things. And even, let's say, our maths. We show you one way, but if you're not clicking in that way, we've got another YouTube video that shows you in another way until it clicks. But we don't need you to understand only in one way. So, I think that's very interesting, the way we're able to mix the curriculums, the way we're able to have different subjects. Because, in a traditional school, you can't have a teacher maybe for travel and tourism and for sociology and for psychology. But yeah, we can have all those subjects. Yeah, we even offer you, if you want to do your Python or your art systems or your web services, you can do it. Because if that's where you want to go, and that I'm not going to go to university, I'm going to get that skill, and I'm going to get a job, and I'm going to work remotely, and that's what I'm going to do for the next 3 years, great. And everything we're doing is what you're going to need for the rest of your life, because you're going to have to get new skills, you're going to have to change things, you're going to have to learn new things. And if we keep telling you how to do it and what you should do, you've lost that skill already. You're already at a disadvantage.
But for someone who is older, like 30, 40, 50 years old, and what advice would you give to him to find back his soul of a child? So to find
I really think it's get onto Coursera, get onto edX, ALS and things like that. Go do a different course. Go try something.
Test.
Start testing, you know what I'm saying? Start speaking to people that you find interesting. Start listening to interesting podcasts. Start to get involved. Don't watch Netflix. Don't sit there for hours. And, I've got so many people that complain about their lives, but then they tell me, Tim, did you see that series? No, I didn't. Did you see that series? No. And I'm like wondering, how did you see so many series? Do you understand? You can't do that. You've got to read a book. You've got to learn something. You've got to send out emails. Or get LinkedIn contacts and send out some contacts and
some action.
Because you don't know. It's like fishing. You don't know what you're going to get. Now, if you've got no hooks and you're sitting on the side, that's like being Netflix. You're just sitting there, but there's no hooks in the water. You're not getting better. You're not putting on bait and trying different things. And I think that's what happens. A lot of people just think, I can't change my life. You can, but you can. I can't do it for you. I can tell you things, and sometimes I used to get frustrated with that. I'd like really try to take someone under your wing and you mentor them, but you can't make them, do what they don't want to do, or not prepared to do. And again, it is a habit. Once you send out 10 messages and one comes back, hey, it's easy to send out 20 with the hope that 2 or 3 will come back, But you've got to get in there. Yeah.
Actually, because you were a Shark Tank, Tuberão in Portuguese, in the Shark Tank as a jury. What did you learn in this experience, and did you see something common in the successful startup or entrepreneurs, and also something common in the others that did?
Yeah, I think what I learned, it's about people. Many good ideas, but then if you can't execute them, no good. Some bad ideas, but there are people that can pivot on them and change them and are willing to fight, and great, it works. So in the end, it does come to people, and I've learned from people, they need to be people that feel like they're doing something they believe in. They need to be people that are able to motivate a team. They need to be people normally that can sell an idea or sell a product even before it's been done. The great story is Disney. Disney built his park and he died before it opened. And there was a journalist who went to his brother that was very critical of him opening a park in Florida at that time. He called it just a swamp, And he said to the brother, oh, this must be bittersweet. Disney isn't here to see what he's built. He died before. And the brother said, no, what's sad is that you believed he needed to be here to see this. He already had the vision and he saw it before it was built, so he's already seen it. And that's a little bit what we need. We need to have that vision. We need to be believing in it. You're going to get a lot of people that are going to say no and this and that. You know what? You've got to stay focused, stay online, working and doing the thing, because things start to happen, And I also believe the more you believe in it and the more you do it, the more professional you become in it, the more doors open. You start getting invited on to do a talk. You get, synergies start happening, etc. And many people quit before that happens. Many people just say, oh, okay, it's not working, I'll give up. And there's a tipping point, that Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point. There is tipping points. And sometimes many people quit just before the tipping point happens.
Yeah, but you have to know exactly, as you said in the introduction, stubborn and persistent. You talked quickly before launching your academy about real estate investment. What does that represent for you? Do you still do it? What do you think about real estate in general?
So I didn't want to do things that I really think are going to be beautiful and are going to be useful, So I've now, I did a project in Cascais that was very successful. We set up a beautiful hotel in Eliseda.
Okay.
We now got a project in Eliseda that's going to be really something special, where we want to bring you back to, let's call it the Californian way of life, because Portugal is very much lifestyle, and it does feel very much like California in the surf and all that. So we want to bring in a very simple caravan kind of feel into it, and you will love just sitting there and just looking out and seeing your surfboard and seeing your kids run past and just enjoying it. We've got that. We've got a project that's smaller, little apartments, but a more of a lifestyle area to mix up with. But you use your apartment really to sleep, tiny, but then you're there with great people in a co-working area with a lovely coffee shop, etc., etc. So differences like that. In Alentejo, we're looking at something that's totally off grid, and it's a hotel that's totally off grid. It supplies its own water, its own power, and you get to enjoy some of the most beautiful views and walk some of the most beautiful lands and do ballooning and doing whatever you want in a really special place. So in property, I believe that I would love to make an impact on mass living. Let's call it on low cost living. I really would.
Co-living or
low cost, so it would bring in co-living, lifestyle living, etc., where you get less square meters, but you get a lot more life.
Experience.
Exactly. And I'm hoping that bureaucracy in this country, in Europe, because it's becoming very bureaucratic, really a lot of bureaucracy, will start coming out the way. Because that's what's making life more and more expensive. The time we take to do a project, when we program it to do it in 2 years and it ends up in 5, everyone who's going to live there or use it is going to pay for that. So I'm hoping to find ways that will streamline things like that. Also, new zones, new areas, things that are special, and we can find what's special and authentic about those areas. So that's what I'm excited with. So I'm not doing I'm not really doing anything else in Cascais or in Lisbon. It is outside and in areas that are like Monserrate and the Eliseiras of this world.
Monserrate. I'm going there next weekend.
Yeah, lovely. It's beautiful. You must go to Dona Isabel.
Dona Isabel.
That, yeah. Okay, you must tell her I sent you, otherwise she won't let you in. She's very strict.
It's a hotel or it's
a restaurant?
A restaurant, okay.
Yeah, but beautiful. Food of the land, everything. It's amazing.
Beautiful stars there.
It's got beautiful views. It's UNESCO, dark sky. It's stunning. Yeah, stunning.
Okay, yeah, we'll go. And so for the real estate, do you have a dedicated real estate team internally? Is that support you?
Yeah, so I'll do some of the meetings that need me.
Yeah.
But I'll work on the big idea. But on the detail and all that, I've got a team that operates all that. And that's, I think, also a bit why I'm able to have a lifestyle, is that I've got good people that are much better than me, more talented than me, doing things. And I add where I can and where I think I'll add value. but then I get out their way and let them work, you know.
Yeah, amazing. But that's also what I try to do, because we are building a platform for democratizing lifestyle real estate also.
Yeah.
But to be able to do what you do, you have to either earn money to pay the team, or to find a way to surround yourself to be able to be over the business.
Look, you know, as I said, I also don't do things alone. So I take some partners, we get going, you know, and then obviously it goes from a project to I'm not great with banks, you know, I've never really, you know, in Africa it's difficult to sometimes get banks to support you, and startups, it's never great with banks. So it's always, I think my projects aren't massive and really, you know, these massive projects, because I've never been good with banks. So I actually stay within my, you know, I would say my comfort zone in that, because at least I know, you know, that what I'm doing, it's controlled, you know, in property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. So coming back to your Brave Generation Academy, I think it's a very great transition to what your next goal of, I mean, trying to present yourself to become president of Portugal, because for me, education it's one of the most important pillars of politics of the country. So is it one of your main reasons why you want to candidate for?
Yeah, no, definitely. You know, Elon Musk says, you know, changing education is more difficult than landing a man on Mars. And I really believe it, because I've experienced it. It's like so many closed minds, so many, you know, our grandparents, their parents, our parents, we went through this normal schooling and the way it should be. So once I understood that we've actually impacted education and we're impacting education, I thought, you know, I'm not going to be that person who speaks about the country and about politicians and how bad it is, etc. I thought I've got to get in and start to do something positive and start changing the mindset of Portugal and the Portuguese. I think our campaign is all about Portugalidade, you know, thinking on being proud to be Portugal, inviting people to experience Portugal, encompassing them, knowing that yes, there are things we can change for the better, but it doesn't make us less Portuguese or anything like that, or less Portugal, but actually more Portugal. It's okay. We were brave 500 years ago. We went out into, you know, we conquered the world. We did all these things.
Explorers.
And now we need to do it in a different way. You know, we need to be this, I believe, like we need to be the center of the world again. You know, where we bring in the AI companies, we bring in people like yourselves that are doing good things and are growing things. Come here, this is where we can do it. But we do need to have a mind change where we make it more simple, where we definitely also start to understand that, you know, tax systems influence where people live nowadays.
Yeah.
And we're competing globally. So we can't make stupid decisions. We can't do that. And we also not going to change Portugal and make Portugal better by trying to, you know, take from others to give to others. We actually need to create for all, you know. So it's that kind of a feeling. And I was a bit, you know, I was getting disillusioned with Portugal a few months back. And I was actually in Cape Town, and I was getting onto the plane to fly back to Portugal. And I was like, Portugal, I'm going to get there. It's going to be this. It's all these scandals. It's issues and issues and issues. And I told my wife, I think I'm going to do another 2 weeks in Cape Town. You know, at least, you know, I get things done.
Retro, yeah.
And then my wife said, no, don't worry. Once you get on the plane, you'll be fine when you land. And then on the plane, I decided, no, I'm not going to be fine. I'm going to start making things better. And that's when I decided to do my candidacy. That's when I put out my memorandum of what I really think Portugal should be thinking and doing. I think we need a vision for Portugal. Yeah. It's very difficult. I ask Portuguese people, what's the vision? You ask politicians, what's the vision? There is no plan of what is our vision. Where are we going to compete? Where are we going to improve? How are we going to take away homelessness, take people away from these minimum salaries, etc. Well, you know, we don't have a vision for these things. So our vision needs to be attract more international companies, more talent. They will create more wealth. Salaries will increase. We need less bureaucracy. So we can build some more houses so at least more people can buy houses, because it's supply and demand in the end. You know, if there are no houses, prices go up. We can blame everyone for that, but in the end, it's got to be this, you know, our systems. There's 17 licenses that we need to be able to start building a house. How is that any good? You know, we digitalize things that maybe we don't even need to digitalize. We need to get rid of them. You know, we've got laws from 1940 that we have the web internet nowadays. You know,
less is more.
Yeah, less is more. We need to really think. You know, think and get rid of stuff that we don't need. And I think we need to think out the box. We've got issues where, you know, we've got to start seeing people that want to work longer in life. We are living to 100. Maybe there are people that want to work until they're 75. They don't have to retire at 68. But why do they still need from 68 to 75 pay Social Security? Maybe they don't need to. If they're not taking Social Security, maybe they can just get the salary and the company doesn't have to pay Social Security. They can get more money. There's ways of doing things, you know. And I think we don't think of basic ideas to make Portugal better. And I think it's not just the Portuguese thing. It's at the moment the whole world is sort of stuck in like this, you know, it's almost like we've lost common sense, you know, and we're trying to be so inclusive of everything that we're actually dividing everything. And we're blaming everyone without saying we're blaming, but we are. Everyone's getting blamed for everything that's wrong, you know. And I think it's time to start having a plan, start making a few little changes that when you look a year later, it's made a big change, you know. And that's how we did it with education. We took away the holidays. We took away this teacher, and we put the teacher in the background, and we put the learning coach to motivate on the front. You know, we made it more exams. So it's all these kind of things that I think by changing a few little things, we'll also get, you know, we'll start to flourish as a country.
Okay, yeah, no, I completely agree with what you said. Just, I'm not sure if I should say that, but for me, politics is a bit like theater. It's not that I'm very optimistic and I believe in it, but I feel like, it's theater, and also that in a short period of time, it's very difficult to change things. So I'm not sure. First,
no, you're right. You know, like our politicians, they mean nothing to me and even less to you. You know, because, and not just ours. I'm not actually picking on Portugal here. It's globally. Like you look at, you know, you look at the US. You look at politicians everywhere in the world. They mean very little to the people that are supposed to elect them. First of all, we look at them and we say, I can't even identify with them. So how does that work? You know, and then I've got to vote for them. So I'm not going to vote for someone. I'm going to vote against someone. So you start to think like that. You know, we still got to go vote and take a day and go into a booth and put it on a piece of paper when we can bank on our phones, we can pay our taxes on our phone, but yet we can't vote on our phone. Why? You know, so we need to start demanding more so things start becoming better. We also need more people that maybe have values and ethics and younger people to get involved in politics so that they maybe do start to take us in the right way.
Innovation.
You know, and I think it's at the moment being a politician is probably one of the worst things in the world. You know, if you get scrutinized, if you go open a bank account, you have to say you're a person of like kind of public interest, so that if money goes in there, they know why has money gone in there. They're badly paid. You know, you look at politicians here, 3,000 to 7,000 euros a month. Those are the people we are trusting to look after our future. So of course they're not looking after our future. Of course they're stealing our future. You know, they're not really here to build your future. They're here to get elected again and stay in a job for a long time because that's the only money that they know it can count on. So I think it's we need to rethink it. You know, we need to rethink it. We do need to become brave again. I think there are tough decisions to be made, because if we keep on this route, you know, everything that my parents gave me and I'm hoping to give my parents, we might lose freedoms. We might lose freedoms. We've seen incredible stuff, you know. We always say, oh, we have freedoms and this and that. But then COVID came through and we actually saw how scared our leaders were, how we all started to look after we made laws that everyone had to be the same. It was no longer your body, and if you didn't do what we wanted you to do, you wouldn't go there. You wouldn't go there. You know, these kind of things. We need to get people in there that do believe our constitutional rights and do protect those things, because if we lose these things, you know, everyone who's died and is in a cemetery and that fought for these things was a waste, you know, and it might go, and it might all change under our watch, you know. So it's a scary time if you think about it, and I understand exactly what you're saying. It makes me sad because, you know, even in Portugal, less than 50% of people vote.
Yeah.
You know, we're all living there. And you know what? If you don't vote, you still got to pay the taxes. You're still going to get that shitty education system. You're still going to get this healthcare that's not looking after you. So what happens? You got to make money to pay your own education, your own health. You know, we need to start demanding more from these people. We need to start putting in the people that can deliver more, so we can demand more. You know?
Okay. And actually, are you already building a team that will surround yourself? Is it like people already close to you from your?
It's a mix. So I've brought in new talent, people that know about politics, because we don't know about politics. But we've taken 3 months to brainwash everyone, to take those people that used to think of politics in a certain way, and, you know, this traditional way, together with people that are already more open-minded, and so we can come up with a campaign that is more open-minded, a campaign that means more to people like you, that hopefully we can convince them to come vote. Because, you know, we are having governments and that are being voted in by really 20% of the voters. You know, because 40% vote, some vote white, and then the 50% of the 40% that voted wins, and, you know, those 20% are driving the whole country in a certain direction. So I'm hoping that we get a campaign that will mean something. I'm an independent, so I've never been in politics, so it wasn't something I was really excited about getting into, but it is something now that I expect to win. You know, like I really want to do it. We got to win it, because it is mission critical. It's very important now. You know, it's becoming more important every day. You know.
Okay. I think we are getting close to the end of this talk, which is was very, very nice. Just have a few quick questions that you can answer like in one sentence to end this talk, if that works for you. So what time represents for you?
Time.
The time.
Time is life. You know, the time is the most important currency in your life. You can get more dollars, but you can't get more time. So time for me is my currency.
Okay. Any regrets you don't want to have?
Nah, nothing. I love them all. This is me. You know, regret I ate a cake for lunch. Hey, it is what it is.
Okay. Regarding politics, do you know the first thing you will do when you arrive at the office?
Yeah, I'm going to work on a vision. I'm going to work on a vision together with all parties have got good people. And most parties actually believe in 80% of the things the same. So I want to get those things going and not concentrate on the 20% they don't agree on. But we concentrate on 20% of what they don't agree and we forget the 80. I want to focus on the 80.
Okay. And what's happiness for you?
Happiness is it's having time to just do the things I love. It's the spending time with family. It's the walking my dog. You know, it's simple. It really is simple. It's not big things. You know,
simple things.
It's a simple things.
Okay. Yeah. And last question, which is the name of this podcast, Adventure of Life. What's adventure for you? And adventure of life. What does that mean for you?
No, I think the best is still to come in my adventures. So I've got a lot of plans still on my adventures, etc.
Only still the beginning.
Yeah, it's still the beginning. So I think everything I've done is preparing me for the big things that are coming. Okay, so my adventure is still going on. Thank goodness. I'm very happy with that. And I think, you know, life is what you make of it. I always like to say, you know, for people that are super worried about their lives, there's a beautiful line from the Marigold movie. And it's when they say, you know, in the end, everything will be okay. If it's not okay, it's because it's not the end. So don't worry, just keep doing things. It will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end.
Not
keep
the
going.
End.
Keep going. And I think it's a little bit like that. Life is a bit like that.
And actually, but last but not the end,
Yeah.
because you make me think. You said also you read a lot of books. Is there a book that impacted a lot your life?
I think a book that I really enjoyed was Marcus Aurelius. Just looking at how he lived so many years ago, and it was still values and still ethics that counted, and they're still the same as today. We've just got more words and different words, but it's still all very, very the same, I think it's not also just about books that you read, but I write I've got like a journal that I write.
Okay.
And I think, I've never said this, but I think sometimes it's not just the books you read, it's also the things you write. Because I think you've got to think of things, you've got to say them, and then you've got to write them. And I think if you do those things, then you become a thinker, you become a person of influence, but then you also, when you write them, they really sink in. And I think that also helps. So it's not just reading, it's write some stuff.
But is it like a daily journal, or is it
It's actually
consistent?
a flight, mostly on flights. On flights, I will just write ideas when I'm on a plane.
Okay.
So when I get onto a plane, I start to write, and it's just a book where I write things and etc. And I think even the articles I write help me with that, because it's great to think, to talk, but it's so good when you put it on paper, because it really, I think that's the final, it's like building a house. You've got the floor, the walls, but that's the roof. And I think it's important.
Wow, very, very interesting. Actually, that makes the perfect transition to thank you for your time, which is actually my book as a small gift for you. It's in French, this one, but I will give you, I have it also in English.
Excellent, guys. So, thank you very much, Adrien.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. I think we made it in 1 hour.
Thanks,
it was very nice. Thank you.
Aventuriers de la vie, c'est le podcast qui part à la rencontre de ceux qui réalisent leurs rêves, prennent des risques et vivent différemment. Si vous avez aimé cet épisode, n'hésitez pas à laisser un commentaire sur la plateforme de votre écoute. Et n'hésitez pas à partager l'épisode auprès de votre entourage. Un grand merci pour votre soutien. C'était Adrien Hardy, auteur du livre Financer ses rêves et fondateur de la plateforme Algae pour investir dans l'immobilier facilement. À très bientôt et un grand merci. Et n'oubliez pas, la vie est une aventure.